Welcome to the Combine Guide. This guide aims to teach you how to loot the Combine as both Survivor and Killer. There will be a focus on a few perks, as well as some tricks for and against some killers. Most clips will be from the Survivor's perspective, as not many Survivors seem to loot the Combine. There will be some clips from the old version of the Combine, but only to the extent that it make any sense. There will also be some experimental tricks. The Combine is looped as followed for the Survivor. Vault the window, jump down and rotate back and repeat. If you have balanced landing, you have one loop for free, and it's a good perk for learning the Combine in general. Life is not advised, as you don't get enough distance out of it, as you will stumble and waste it. The response from the Killer side is to simply lunge over to the hay bale and cut the Survivor off. This will usually result in a hit if the Survivor wants to keep looping. There are currently 3 ways to cross over to the hay bale. The first is simply lunging. The second is trying to carefully walk over to the hay bale. If you have too much speed, you will bounce off. This is arguably the best way to cross over, as you won't suffer from a lunge cooldown. The third way, which is probably the most aggressive, is to bounce and lunge over the hay bale as followed. If done correctly, you should be able to hit the Survivor or fall off at the end. There are multiple ways the Survivor can deal with this cutoff. The first, which is probably the best, is to fake the window and vault the window off the side of the Combine. Quick and quiet is great for this, as the Killer might still think you're on top of the Combine. If the Killer has committed to a lunge, then you should be able to loop the Combine once more, or you're free to abandon loop. This appears to work the majority of the time, as most killers' response to loop is to cross over in advance, while in reality you could just wait as a killer and still have ample time to stop the Survivor from looping the Combine again. The platform you land on as a Survivor can be quite useful, as one-shot killers like Leatherface, Hillbilly and Oni have a hard time hitting you here. You can therefore force a one hit out of them. A lot of Survivors seem to panic vault over here once they realize you have cut them off. In that case, just wait to the side of the Combine. There's a good chance the Survivor will vault back over again for a free hit. I am all ears is great for this. Just keep in mind that quick and quiet counters I'm all ears. If you're close enough to the Survivor on the Combine, you can also just vault the window. The Survivor won't have time to make an additional long loop. The response from the Survivor side is then to loop the short side of the loop back up again. Just make sure you get a fast vault, or the Killer might make it in time for a hit. As a Killer, you can completely stop the short loop by lunging over to the side of the Combine. If the Survivor dodges your attack, there won't be time to make it to the window again. Even if the Survivor is on the edge of the Combine, you can still hit them. The only thing the Survivor can do here is to bait out the lunge and try and make it to a different loop. I'm going to bring in an experimental tip here that hasn't been tested out yet in real games. If the Killer vaults the window, you can run down the tractor, stand on a hay bale and flashlight the Killer as he vaults over the window. If the Killer then fails, you can make it back up again. This trick is very hard, as you first have to run down the tractor, then stand on a hay bale. The hay bale is very slippery, and using the flashlight will make you slowly back up and fall off. Furthermore, if the Killer is on the track and is hugging the right side, then you can't actually make it back up again. The second option for the Survivor to deal with the crossover is to bait out a lunge at the window. If the Killer misses, the Survivor can vault off the side of the Combine and make another loop. It's important to bait out a lunge, otherwise you won't have time to make another loop. If the Killer fails the initial lunge, then the Survivor can cross over to the hay bales and stand there. The Killer cannot hit you here as long as you're hugging the edge of the Combine. If the Killer doesn't know how to cross over, this becomes one of the strongest loops in the game, if not the strongest. After the initial fail, it's important that you as a Survivor stop running and start walking. This will cause the chase to stop after some seconds. Once the chase is stopped, you can freely infinite slow vault the window, as you won't be in a chase. The Killer will then have no option but to vault the window to get you. As an experimental tip, you could try and flashlight the Killer here, but there is very little room for maneuvering. If you believe the Killer is going straight for you at the vault, then you can hide to the side of the Combine. Some killers will lunge trying to hit you at the window and then miss. You can vault the window at the side and abandon the loop, unless you have a bad connection. Dead Hard is probably one of the most useful perks in the Combine. Dead Hard allows you to cross over to the hay bale like killers can do. You can then vault the window from the back and then chain it with the window on the side of the Combine. As a killer, you can then vault the window back after the survivor, and that should stop the survivor from looting the Combine again. Dead Hard can also be used to cross over from the Combine to the hay bale. You can wait at the corner of the Combine, then Dead Hard straight into the window and make the killer miss. Another thing you can do is Dead Hard to the side from the corner of the Combine and make the killer miss, then quickly vault the window and get away. I'm going to show some loops from the survivor on the Combine. On the first loop I have plenty of distance on the killer, so I go for a long loop on the Combine. Now I have essentially telegraphed how I'm going to loop the Combine to the killer. On the second loop, I then fake the loop as the killer swings over to the other side, trying to stop me from looping the Combine again. Don't forget that you can also chain the Combine with different loops. If you believe you can make an additional loop, then return to the Combine again to loop it once more. I have done some research on some of the killers and how they interact with the Combine. Here's what I found. The pig can dash over the Combine from both sides. The spirit can phase from both sides as well. The cannibal, although hard, can only cross from one side. The Demogorgon can pounce to the hay bale. The nurse cannot blink on top of this section of the Combine from any angle whatsoever. The survivor is completely safe here. The only way for the nurse to get to this section is to blink in front of the window wall. Legion can easily cross from both sides as well. Oni can charge over both sides of the Combine. If a trapper puts a trap on a window, it's possible to disarm from this side of the Combine. This little piece of metal will protect you from the huntress hatches at this angle, as long as you don't vault the window. However, if the huntress aim higher and you vault the window, she will be able to hit you. The huntress also cannot hit you from upstairs once you are at the hay bale. The doctor and Pyramid Head cannot hit you from below the Combine, but they can hit you from above and from the side if they have elevation enough. Pyramid Head cannot hit you if you manage to vault the back window from this angle. Hey, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something, if not a lot, from it. It was super fun to make, and the Combine is one of the loops in the game that I actually enjoy the most, both as Survivor and Killer. I started making the Gardener Combine because I feel like a lot of survivors are not that great at looping it, and when you play Killer it's pretty much a free hit every single time. So I wanted to provide that knowledge. Most killers, I would say, know how to loop the Combine fairly well, but once you start like pulling off advanced tricks as Survivor on them, they kind of feel like the fake and stuff like that. And a lot of killers actually don't cut you off on the short side of the loop. Yeah, that's it, and I hope you really enjoyed this video, and I guess I'll see you next time, whenever that is. Take care.